policy to restore democracy in Pakistan. Significantly, what this bill also proposes to do is mandate a 30-day determination of sanctions to be imposed on Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir. It also says that other Pakistani generals and their families could be deterred from coming into the United States. Their visas could be impounded and they can be stopped from coming into the United States because they played a part in setting back the democratic process in Pakistan. Representative Wilson's bill also says that freeing Imran Khan would be a major step towards strengthening US-Pakistan relations. Of course, this bill will be brought to the floor of the US House soon. Whether or not it'll pass, we'll have to wait and see. But Siddhant Mishra has more details on this. How may this play out likely, Siddhant? Because when Trump was president for the first term, he didn't have a great equation with Imran Khan. But then, of course, events changed in Pakistan. Imran Khan was ousted from power. A new government is in place there. How is the Trump administration likely to view this bill that's been moved by Representative Joe Wilson?
Well, Zakka, one thing is for sure that Asia and this entire Indo-Pacific region is going to be the focus for United States during Trump administration. And in fact, just a day before, US has released money for the maintenance and the monitoring of F-series fleet of Pakistani Air Force. And now we have this perhaps Joe Wilson who has come up with this draft where US kind of wants democracy in Pakistan, and US will sanction Pakistani army generals, and they don't want army to control things in Pakistan. They want democratically elected government to come in power. Perhaps one reason, Zakka, could be that the interference of China. Now, China is interfering in Pakistan, perhaps controlling Pakistan through army generals. In fact, the other day we were talking about how there is unrest in the Baloch region, and there's a lot of anger against the Pakistani army as they take directions from China. So maybe that could be one reason that Trump wants a democratically elected government, so that the rule of generals in Pakistan, their influence will come down, and that could be America's idea. And this is the reason that this bill has been proposed by Joe Wilson, and it has also set a mandate, a 30-day determination of sanctions on Asim Munir, review of all generals and government officials and then families for sanctions.
All right, Siddhant, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this bill, the future course of this bill in the US House of Representatives, and whether, of course, it gets adopted by the US House. Today is Mahashivratri, and the 1.5-month-long Mahakumbh in Prayagraj gets over tonight. At last count, over 65 crore devotees had taken the holy dip at the Sangam Ghat. Now, these millions, they have flocked to one of the holiest places in Hinduism, not because the Prime Minister asked them to or the UP Chief Minister asked them to. They did so because of their astha or their belief. But politics is not far away. Mamata Banerjee and Akhilesh Yadav have belittled the efforts of the state administration. They point to the two major tragedies that have happened over the last month. The stampede that first happened on Mauni Amavasya on the 29th of January, one of the holiest days, where 30 people were killed. And then, of course, there was the stampede at the New Delhi railway station that happened earlier this month. Of course, these are terrible human tragedies, and accountability needs to be fixed for those. But are they taking away from the larger picture, which is that this was the largest congregation of humanity at one given place over a month-and-a-half period at any point of time in recent history? So should we keep the big picture in mind, or are opposition politicians just politicizing these two tragedies and saying and belittling in many ways the astha or the belief of these 65 crore Indians who took the holy dip? So the culmination of this 45-day Mahakumbh, it's historic in many aspects. Like I said, at last count, it was a little over 66 crore devotees who took the holy dip at the Mahakumbh. It makes it the largest congregation of humanity at any given point of time in recent history. It has exceeded the state's expectations. In fact, before the Kumbh began in mid-January, the UP government had estimated about 45 crore people to turn up and take the holy dip. 1.4 crore people took the holy dip on the occasion of Shivratri. That's the figures that we have till 6 p.m. That number will further go up. In fact, 15,000 sanitation workers were on the ground throughout this period to try and make the Kumbh a better experience for devotees. 1.2 million temporary jobs have been created over the last month and a half. 14,000 trains were organized to facilitate the ease of movement. Some of them, of course, had to be temporarily halted. Some stations had been blocked. The Prayagraj station itself was shut for a brief while. But overall, 7,000 buses, including more than 500 shuttle buses, were plying to and fro since private vehicles were barred from entering the zones close to the Ghats for pedestrian movement. The installation of 30 ponton bridges over the river to try and help the devotees cross over to safer places where they can take the holy dip. So all of that has happened over the last month and a half. Let's listen in to some sound bites that have come in, and then we'll go across to our political face-off.
পরে আবার কুম্ভ হবে বা 144 বছর আগে এটা হয়েছে। আমি একটু অজ্ঞ আছি এ ব্যাপারে। যদি কেউ বিশিষ্ট মানুষ থাকেন, আমি তাদের কাছে অনুরোধ করব যে আপনারা একটু গবেষণা করে আমাদের জানাবেন সঠিক সত্যটা কি, সঠিক তথ্যটা কি। যে পরিবারগুলো তাদের স্বজনকে হারিয়েছে তারা যেন ইমিডিয়েট কম্পেনসেশনের টাকা পায়।
जो अपने परिवार के सदस्यों को ढूंढ रहे थे, एक बेटी अपनी माँ को ढूंढ रही थी, भाई भाई को ढूंढ रहा था, लोग आकर के अपने घर वालों को ढूंढ रहे थे जो अभी तक नहीं मिले हैं। क्या ढूंढने वालों को सरकार गिद्ध बोल रही थी? और सबसे बड़ा सवाल है, ये जो सुअर का नाम ले रहे हैं, ये हम लोगों ने किसी ने नहीं कहा कि पानी खराब है गंगा का। सेंट्रल पॉल्यूशन बोर्ड ने कहा है कि ये गंगा का पानी खराब है। गंगा का पानी नहाने लायक भी नहीं है, आचमन तो भूल जाइए। तो सोचिए सरकार किसको सुअर कह रही थी।
All right, so that Central Pollution Control Board report that Akhilesh Yadav was referring to, they have now clawed back on that, but we'll get to that with more details in some time. But there were a lot of politicians, right from the Prime Minister, the President of India, the Vice President, Yogi Adityanath, various state chief ministers, many of whom who turned up at Prayagraj to take the Mahakumbh holy dip. But there were some politicians who were conspicuous by their absence at the Mahakumbh. Most notably was leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi. In fact, he was in Rai Bareli just a few days ago, but he did not visit Prayagraj. It's barely a couple of hours between Rai Bareli and Prayagraj. He did not go for the Mahakumbh. His sister, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Member of Parliament from Wayanad, she too gave a miss to the Mahakumbh. Sonia Gandhi, of course, has been unwell relatively for some time now, so I guess there is some degree of understanding there. She has not turned up for the Mahakumbh. Mamata Banerjee, you heard from Mamata Banerjee a short while ago, the West Bengal Chief Minister. She didn't turn up to take the holy dip either. In fact, Mamata Banerjee has often given the example of the Ganga Sagar Mela, which happens in Bengal, and compared it to the Mahakumbh, saying how the Ganga Sagar Mela got sort of stepmotherly treatment from the central government. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge also did not show up at the Mahakumbh. He asked if the Ganga dips during Mahakumbh would end poverty. Uddhav Thackeray, former Maharashtra Chief Minister, and his son Aditya Thackeray both were missing as well. In fact, interestingly, BJP allies, and many would say the government sort of depends on the support of these two allies, Nitish Kumar, the Bihar Chief Minister, and Chandrababu Naidu, the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister, both of them gave a miss to the gathering, even though the Deputy Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Pawan Kalyan, was there taking the dip. So it's interesting. It's a mix of both opposition as well as some ruling coalition politicians who gave a miss to the Mahakumbh in Prayagraj. This concludes the entire month and a half period of the Mahakumbh, but politics is front and center between the BJP and, of course, the TMC and the Samajwadi Party on the other side. Let me go across to Anila Singh, National Spokesperson of the BJP. I'm also joined by Ghanshyam Tiwari, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. So, Ghanshyam, let me start with you first. 65 crore people, that's almost half the population of this country, has taken the holy dip. Why is the opposition insisting that, this is Mrityu Kumbh, not Mahakumbh? Akhilesh Yadav, your leader, says Ravan bhi to sadhu ke vesh mein aaye the and all that. Isn't that insulting to the people who've taken the holy dip?
Good evening, Zakka, to you, the viewers, and Anila ji, and a very happy Mahashivratri to everyone who's watching the program. The three important things. One is the whole craze of dumbing down people with numbers that do not matter. Just take a look at this number 65 crore that BJP will be parroting. As per census, India has under 14 population of 42-43 crore. The next census will tell us. As per census, 15 crore people are over 65. So we are saying, or BJP wants people to listen to this tamasha, that of the 80 crore people between 14 and 65, 65 crore have taken a dip in the Holy Kumbh. What is this craze of putting out numbers that you know are absolutely wrong? But there is a reason why they do it, because when you put out 65 crore as a number, then you can dumb down the accountability with respect to the murderous mismanagement that caused Delhi stampede. You can dumb down the accountability with respect to not knowing the number of deaths in the stampede in Kumbh. You can dumb down the monstrous mind that said that petals should be showered on people when the dead bodies were still lying down in that stampede. You can dumb down the fact that the civilizational event is being appropriated by one party as if they have invented the event. If tomorrow Adityanath says that anybody who's not bald or clean shaved on the head is not Sanatani, does that mean that the entire country has to go bald? This kind of nonsense that BJP wants people to believe that they define who is Sanatani, who is not, was defeated in 2024 in the elections, including those in Ayodhya. So what the opposition is doing is not playing politics. It's saying that a prime minister whose suit was auctioned for 10 lakh, his government is offering 10 lakh as a compensation in a murderous stampede where people died because
so I want to separate the two parts. One is, of course, the number of people who went there. Ghanshyam is well within his right to question whether those numbers are inflated or not. And the separate part is, of course, about the unfortunate incidents that happened, the stampede that happened on Mauni Amavasya, and of course the stampede that happened at the Delhi railway station. But let me ask Anila ji, by pumping up these numbers, 65 crore, 60 crore, whatever the final numbers are, Ghanshyam and his party believe that this whole thing is to try and hide away the mismanagement of the Kumbh, whether it's the deaths that happened on 29th of January or the deaths that happened at the New Delhi railway station, all of which was avoidable.
My Ram Ram to all, and today is Mahashivratri, Parv of Mahadev and Mahadevi. So, my Shubhkamnaएं to each and every Sacha Sanatani, not halal Hindus, pure Hindus. So, I want to start by saying that संकट के इस घोर तिमर में कैसे जीता जाए द्वंद, दूजी ओर गद्दार खड़े हैं और संग उनके जयचंद. We do not need any outsiders. We have got so many halal Hindus in our own nation who are ready to ridicule Sanatanis and Hindus. Imagine Samajwadi Party, questioning, अरे इतने करोड़ कैसे आ गए? आप अपने workers की टीम लगा देते. They could have counted, and then you could have said, oh, Yogi Adityanath ji is lying. These many people came, and he is saying that 60 crore plus came. Of course not. The number is not that much. So he is lying. You could have said, you should have some sort of evidence. Otherwise, just believe what Yogi Adityanath ji Sarkar is saying. If you are not going to believe it, again I am going to say that your party is the party of, especially if I talk about the president, Halal Hindu. You need certification so that one particular religious community people, they can start believing you. They can say, okay.
But Anila ji, Akhilesh Yadav also went to the Kumbh. He also took the holy dip.
He has to do the drama, no? Like he has to take the dip in the Kumbh, and then he will say, his party will say, and he himself will say, अरे पानी तो इतना गंदा है, उसकी रिपोर्ट आई है, उसकी रिपोर्ट आई है. Then why did you go? Why did you go? You just wanted to please certain Hindus who keep voting for you. That was the sole reason. They do not have any respect for Mahakumbh because they kept on questioning, the authenticity, the creativity, the productivity, and the management which was being given by the Yogi
but what about the tragedies? What about the stampede that happened? What about what happened at the Delhi railway station? Opposition is saying there has to be a price to pay. You're just shoving all of that under the carpet.
No, of course not. And I will say yes, of course, very tragic, whether we talk about the Prayagraj, Mauni Amavasya incident or the Delhi station incident, very, very tragic. And it was like, I do not have words to express my grief, but the investigation is on because of which reason such stampede happened. Who was responsible? So let the investigation come. Then
Okay.
I doubt that there may be certain people who created the stampede because they wanted to bring bad name to Yogi Adityanath ji.
No, we will know that after the investigation. But, Ghanshyam, the moot point is, whether it is 60 crore or 50 crore or 40 crore, there's a large number of people who have turned out for the Mahakumbh. Now, they have not turned out there because Mr. Modi asked them to go or Mr. Yogi asked them to go. They have gone there out of their own profound faith for Hindu Astha, what they believe in. Why are you belittling that is the question that's being asked.
Zakka, three things. One is that I started by wishing Mahashivratri and blessings on Mahashivratri for everyone, every Indian. For BJP national spokesperson to say that she is going to wish to Sanatani, real Sanatani Hindus. This is the Batange Katenge party. They treat fellow Indians with hate. If people who are questioning their murderous mismanagement are to be called halal Hindus, what are you, Zakka? In their scheme of things, people like you will not even have citizenship. You are not even entitled a wish for Mahashivratri. This is the reality of Batange Katenge party. As far as the platitudes that, I am very saddened by loss of lives, 10 lakh rupees on your murderous mismanagement? Was it a foreign conspirator involved in railways? When you saw that people were crowding the trains, when you saw how many tickets were issued, the rail minister does not have anything to answer. Was it a foreign conspirator who was showering petals when dead bodies were lying in Kumbh? This brazen act of cruelty, which is presented as an act of their model of Sanatani, is dangerous. And to call NGT as halal Hindu, it was in front of NGT that this Yogi government was tongue-tied when they could not respond to the samples collected. And on the same day, the model Sanatani, Mr. Adityanath, was in the UP Assembly parroting a blatant lie.
Okay. Anila Singh, I'll give you the final word. Point is, whether it is the bad water which the CPCB report initially put out, now they've sort of clawed back on that, whether it is mismanagement of, selling unreserved tickets, leading to crowding of station, leading to change of platform at the last minute, and that led to the stampede. All of these are man-made tragedies for which some accountability needs to be fixed. You can't say कि घनश्याम की पार्टी से किसी ने आके conspiracy कर दिया.
You never know. But I just have to say one thing here. The political party which is trying to preach Yogi Sarkar in Uttar Pradesh, what they have to say about the car sevaks. Innocent car sevaks were killed by them, and their chief minister, that time chief minister, Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav ji, he said, मुझे तो संविधान की रक्षा करने के लिए दोबारा मारना पड़ा तो मैं दोबारा मारूंगा. So they were roasted. So they got the bullets in their chest because they wanted Bhagwan Shri Ram's temple built there in Ayodhya. So this is what Samajwadi Party is, and they are not going to talk about the stampede which happened during their tenure. It is very unfortunate, I am telling you. But willingly killing car sevaks, what is that? They are not going to answer about that. So do not try to pretend you people are halal Hindus, and we know it very well. You want certification, so that those people can vote for you.
I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much to Anila Singh and to Ghanshyam Tiwari. Like I said, it's over a period of a month and a half, whether you believe the figures or doubt the figures. Point is, a large number of people turned out for the Mahakumbh. Yes, there were the two terrible tragedies that happened. One at the Sangam Ghat itself on the Mauni Amavasya day, and then there was the stampede at the New Delhi railway station. But if you were to discount that, you have not seen this kind of a congregation of humanity at any one given point of time or any month and a half period in recent memory. And to that itself, I think it is an onerous achievement that has been underlined. So India will soon see a redrawing of parliamentary constituencies based on its population. Now, we don't know exactly when it's going to happen. It could be a few years from now. It is called the delimitation exercise. It happens once every 20 years or so. And that delimitation exercise has become the latest flashpoint between southern Indian states and the BJP-led centre. Leading the charge is Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, who's called for an all-party meeting next week to discuss this issue of delimitation. Now, Mr. Stalin says that this is an attempt to try and crush the voice of the South inside the parliament. The delimitation issue, he says, is like a sword that is hanging over the southern states. But today, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who was also in Tamil Nadu, incidentally, he was in Coimbatore, he dismissed those fears and apprehensions as asserted by the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. He, in fact, made it categorically clear that neither Tamil Nadu nor any other South Indian state would lose a single parliamentary seat because of delimitation. In fact, he turned the tables on the ruling DMK in the state where he was addressing this gathering. Like I said, he was in Tamil Nadu. He inaugurated some local BJP party offices there. He was in Coimbatore. He accused the DMK of misleading the people on this issue of delimitation, particularly among the 5 southern states. But how valid are MK Stalin's concerns? If and when the delimitation exercise does take place, then the strength of the Lok Sabha will also go up because it has to be proportional to the population of the country, and clearly the population of the country has gone up in the last 20 years. This would mean that some states, for example, Uttar Pradesh, which is India's most populous state, a BJP stronghold as well, will see a big jump in its elected representatives. Let's try and put that into hard numbers for you. That'll give you an idea of how it would actually change. So if you look at the population of Tamil Nadu, as of the 2001 census, because the last delimitation exercise happened after the 2001 census, bases the 2001 census numbers, Tamil Nadu's population was 6.2 crores. So the seats it has is 39. The 2029 projection for the state of Tamil Nadu is that its population would go up upwards of 7 crores, possibly just shy of 7.5 crores. So that's an increase of about 1.3 crores over the last 20 years. But the number of seats, which as a proportion would have been reduced if you were to take up the delimitation exercise. But today Amit Shah has made it absolutely clear that Tamil Nadu or any other southern state will not lose a single seat. So which means they will continue to have their 39. MK Stalin says, as per the delimitation procedure or exercise, Tamil Nadu would have lost at least 8 seats. From 39, it would have come down to 31. But like I said, Home Minister Amit Shah has categorically denied that and said Tamil Nadu will not lose a single seat. Now, if you compare this with Uttar Pradesh, the most populous state in the country, in 2001, Uttar Pradesh's population was a little over 16 crores. So it is the state which has the highest number of Lok Sabha MPs. 80 MPs get elected from the state of Uttar Pradesh. By 2029, the population of Uttar Pradesh is expected to go upwards of 23 crores. So that's an increase of about 7 crores or so, little under 7 crores if you will. So for that extra 7 crores, the number of seats, the number of Lok Sabha seats, this has been analyzed by certain organizations. They say that it will increase from 80 to 94. So that's at least a 14-15 seat rise in the Lok Sabha representation in Uttar Pradesh. Bihar, excuse me, which is the second most populous state, has the second highest number of, in fact, the third highest number of seats after Maharashtra. So Bihar, which has 40 Lok Sabha seats at a population of 8.2 crores in the census exercise that happened 20 years ago in 2001. If the census exercise is to happen in the next few years, and by the 2029 projection of the population of Bihar is expected to go up to 12.5 crores. And at that population, the projected seat increase in Bihar goes from 40 to 51. So this is where the southern states are saying that as a proportion, their number of seats, even if it's frozen at 39 for Tamil Nadu, 20 for Kerala, 28 for Karnataka, as a proportion, it will be relatively less compared to the North Indian states because they, population has exploded in these states in the last 20 years and they are being rewarded for that population explosion. But is there merit in this even after what Mr. Amit Shah has said today? Let's listen in to the various sound bites and then we will go across.
அழைக்க முடிவு செஞ்சு இன்றைக்கு நாங்கள் அவர்களுக்கெல்லாம் கடிதம் அனுப்ப போறோம். தொகுதி மறுசீரமைப்பு பேர்ல தென்னிந்தியாவுடைய தலைக்கு மேல ஒரு கத்திய தொங்கிக்கிட்டு இருக்கு. எல்லா வளர்ச்சி குறியீடுகள்லையும் முதன்மை மாநிலமாக இருக்கக்கூடிய தமிழ்நாடு கடுமையா பாதிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கு. ஒன்றிய அரசு 2026 ஆண்டுல மக்களவை தொகையுடைய எண்ணிக்கையை மறுசீரமைப்பு செய்ய போறாங்க. பொதுவா இதெல்லாம் மக்கள் தொகையை கணக்கிட்டு தான் செய்யப்படுது. மக்கள் தொகை கட்டுப்படுத்தல் என்பது இந்திய நாட்டுடைய மிக முக்கியமான இலக்கு. அந்த இலக்கை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் நம்ம தமிழ்நாடு வெற்றி பெற்றிருக்கு. அது எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும்.
कि मोदी जी ने निश्चित रूप से आपके सभी हितों की रक्षा कर डिलिमिटेशन में आपका एक भी सीट प्रोरेटा कम न हो और जो बढ़ोतरी होगी इसमें उचित हिस्सा दक्षिण भारत के राज्यों को भी मिलेगा. इसमें कोई शंका रखने की जरूरत नहीं है.
All right, so delimitation is an exercise that began before the first general election in the country. The first delimitation exercise was undertaken by the Election Commission of India back in 1950-51. Then the Delimitation Commission Act was enacted by the Parliament in 1952 and that marked the formal establishment of the delimitation process in India. In fact, the 1952 general elections, the first ever elections, happened basis the delimitation exercise. The last major delimitation exercise was completed in 2008. It started in 2006, completed in 2008, basis the 2001 census population. However, the total number of Lok Sabha seats was unchanged. This is as per a freeze that's been imposed by the 42nd Amendment that was passed in 1976 by the Indira Gandhi government during the emergency, which froze the total number of Lok Sabha seats at 543. That was for a 20-year period. It was further extended by the 84th Amendment in 2001 when Mr. Vajpayee was Prime Minister. They froze the number of seats in the Lok Sabha at 543 for another 20-year period from 2001 to 2026. In 2026 is when the new delimitation exercise is expected to happen. But here's the catch. Delimitation cannot happen before a census is complete. The last census that was complete was in 2011. The census in 2021, remember the census happens every 10 years, the census in 2021 did not happen. It got completely delayed because we were in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. So first, a census exercise has to be carried out. The population has to be determined, and then basis the population, you have the delimitation exercise. But even in the budget provisions for the budget 2025, which was presented by Nirmala Sitharaman a few weeks ago, even there, monies have not been allocated, or at least adequate monies have not been allocated for carrying out a census exercise. So it looks unlikely that the census exercise would be carried out in the year 2025.
The southern states are very clear that the delimitation process is going to be extremely a step back for the southern states. And I think population should not be the only criteria for delimitation, because if that becomes the only criteria, the southern states will be punished for being good citizens. The southern states will be punished for good governance.
BRS will not remain a mute spectator but will put up a strong protest if the government of India considers population as the primary criterion for the delimitation to be held in 2026. If population is considered, then Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, such states will benefit for having larger population, but the southern states who have fared well in family planning will be grossly affected with injustice, because the seats are largely to be reduced and power of the southern states and representation in the parliament will drastically come down.
Delimitation based on population, South Indian states will naturally, their share will come down and seats will increase in North India, which is just not acceptable. This is destroying the federal structure. So right from day one, the constitution offered us is destroying them. And we have been, South India has been sort of following what is required for the society, where there is population control and a whole lot of factors. And even with regard to the tax distribution, the discrimination happening. We are giving probably a higher rate, but because of the population control, we are getting much less here. So that discrimination is going on for some time. With this new delimitation proposal, the federal structure is going to get affected.
Now, so this wouldn't be the first time that the Tamil Nadu government has targeted the centre. Delimitation debate is the latest in a series that's been running through, particularly in the last few months. And it leaves you wondering if the protest that's been launched by the opposition in Tamil Nadu, the DMK and other parties which have joined the bandwagon, is actually a political strategy. Remember, Tamil Nadu goes to polls early next year, early 2026. Just a few days ago, the Stalin government had accused the centre of imposing Hindi in the state via the national education policy. Now remember, the national education policy encourages what is called the three-language formula, whereby it is English plus 2 native Indian languages, one of which could be Hindi, but it doesn't impose that it has to be Hindi, but it just says 2 native Indian languages. The ripples of that continue to dominate the political discourse. Today, TVK, the new entrant of actor Vijay, the new political entrant in the state, they were celebrating their 1-year anniversary, and he too has waded into this whole language debate. He's chastised both the DMK as well as the BJP on this issue of Hindi imposition.
மும்மொழி கொள்கை இதை இங்க செயல்படுத்தலனா இந்த கல்விக்கான நிதியை நம்மளுடைய மாநில அரசுக்கு கொடுக்க மாட்டாங்களாம். இந்த எல்கேஜி யூகேஜி பசங்க சண்டை போட்டுப்பாங்க தெரியுமா, அந்த மாதிரி.
All right, so this huge debate around delimitation, the Home Minister was there in Tamil Nadu today and he said not a single seat will be reduced in the southern states. So what is the brouhaha about? Let's go across to Mr. R.K. Radhakrishnan. He's a senior associate editor with the Frontline magazine. Thank you very much, R.K., for joining us. So Amit Shah today was in Coimbatore and he said, I don't know why Mr. Stalin keeps jumping. Even after the delimitation exercise will happen, which will happen after the census exercise, so it's some years away, the southern states will not lose one single seat. This is Modi ki guarantee. Why then has this become such a point of contention in the southern states and particularly in Tamil Nadu?
That's exactly what Stalin and the others have been talking about. See, the southern states will not lose seats, but proportionally, are they going to lose out? If it is going to be 848 or 888 member parliament, are southern states going to be stuck with this 131 or odd seats or whatever, or are they going to see an increase? It's technically not feasible to increase the number of seats because you are looking at proportional representation. That's been the yardstick, and that's what probably will come into play as well. So the southern states have basically been asking, and Stalin has pointed this out, is that if UP can increase from, say, the current state to say about 145 or 150, and Bihar nearly double from 40 to 79, how is it fair that Tamil Nadu goes and gets another 8 or 10 seats and Kerala stays at 20 seats itself? And that is the worry, actually. Yeah.
So it's not just the the issue of delimitation or the debate around delimitation. Stalin has taken a pretty strident position when it comes to the two-language formula and the national education policy, on the NEET face-off, on the Kachativu issue. What is he trying to do politically speaking? Because clearly he has one eye on the elections that are due next year.
Yeah, very true. I mean, he is basically trying to ensure that political parties which are not aligned in the same ideology that he is at this point of time lose out majorly in Tamil Nadu. Because whether it is two-language or whether it is the delimitation or any of these other things, Kachativu and all of that, Tamil Nadu seems to have taken a stand that what DMK is doing is right, and ADMK is on the same page. Now, Stalin has convened a meeting on this delimitation issue on March 5th, and he has extended an invitation to every single political party, not every single political party represented just in the assembly, every political party. So you will have Vijay, who is supposed to take a stand on that, ADMK, which will have to necessarily come to that meeting and make statements on that, and you will finally see that only BJP is isolated in the state, because even Congress, the local Congress leadership has said that what the BJP is trying to do, or the government which is trying to do, is completely autocratic. So I think Stalin is trying to say that every single political party is on the same page. Now we have the advantage; we are in government. So why do you want to vote for anybody else? We are there to protect your rights. I think that seems to be the line.
All right, R.K. Radhakrishnan, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us and putting that issue into perspective for our viewers. Thank you. So amid a heated debate on immigration and H-1B visas under Trump 2.0 presidency, the US president has now announced a new gold card for immigrants. Trump has said these cards, which are priced at $5 million each, will be sold to foreigners who want to move to the United States and create jobs and create a pathway for their own citizenship. It's called a premium version of the green card. It offers immigrants a pathway to citizenship. Trump said that the sale of the gold cards will begin in about 2 weeks' time. He suggested that millions of such cards could be sold. The U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who was alongside Donald Trump in the Oval Office when he signed that executive order, said that this move will replace the existing EB-5 investor visa program. Let's listen in to what Trump had to say at the Oval Office, and then we'll break it down as to what this means for Indian Americans.
We're going to be doing something else that's going to be very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people.
All right, so from a green card, you go to a gold card. But what was this EB-5 investor visa program? It's been there for the last 30 plus years. It was created by the United States Congress in 1992. The EB-5 can grant green cards to those immigrants who make a minimum investment of at least $800,000 in economically distressed zones called targeted employment areas. The aim was also to create jobs for American workers. So it's $800,000 investment, a minimum of 10 jobs that business has to create. Now, India has been one of the top countries with EB-5 applications. Between 1st of April 2022 and the 31st of July 2024, there were a little over 1,200 applications for EB-5 that were applied by individuals from India. The United States is the second highest number of Indians have emigrated to after the UAE. The second highest number of Indians have gone to the US, particularly high net worth individuals, or HNIs as they are known. The number one country happens to be the United Arab Emirates. Consistently for the last 3 or 4 years, the UAE has been the top destination for Indian dollar millionaires. Dollar millionaires are those who have an income of more than 8.5 crores. The UAE has offered them a venue as an alternative to the US or to countries in Western Europe, particularly to these high net worth individuals. They get what is called a golden visa and zero tax. Of course, the UAE is known for its investment-friendly environment. It is halfway between India and Western Europe. It's got zero income tax, and that is a huge incentive as far as high net worth individuals are concerned. And that's one of the key reasons why a lot of rich Indians, dollar millionaires, immigrate to the United Arab Emirates. So over the last 3 years, there's data that the government of India has submitted in Parliament that 72,000 dollar millionaires have emigrated out of India to various countries. A good number of them have gone to the United States, taking advantage of what is called the EB-5 or the investor visa, which now stands scrapped. In 2019, a year before COVID, and this is as per the private wealth migration report by Henley and Partners, one of the most respected surveyors as far as high net worth individuals are concerned. In 2019, 7,000 HNIs left from India to the United States. The next 2 years, because there was COVID and international air travel was restricted, there's no data available for the years 2020 and 2021, certainly no credible data from the likes of Henley and Partners. But in 2022, after the international air restrictions were lifted, right after 2 years of COVID, that number increased to 7,500. So there was a significant uptick in the year 2022. Then a year later, it's come down a little bit from 7,500 to 5,100. And then in the year 2024, for which Henley and Partners have put out a projection, they don't have the final figures, it was again reducing to 4,300. So over the last 3 years, since COVID, of 2022, 2023 and 2024, about 17,000 individuals, high net worth Indians, have emigrated to different countries. Now, many of these HNIs qualify for EB-5 visas because for EB-5, because it started with $500,000 investment and then subsequently it's gotten increased to $800,000 investment. But now Trump is saying he's scrapping EB5 and instead he will have a gold card, which means $5 million investment is required for the US gold card. That's a 10-time increase in the amount of funds that you need to invest in the United States. From less than 1 million, it's gone up to 5 million. So it's a 5-time increase. I correct myself there. So also this could have a domino effect on those who are already waiting for green cards in the United States. There are, highly skilled individuals who are waiting for it. There are techies who have done 6 years on H-1B who are also waiting for a green card. So as per estimates from the United States Immigration Department, over 1 million Indians, that is 10 lakh Indians who are living and working in the United States, are in queue for a green card. Now, the two most popular categories in the green card are EB2 and EB3. EB2 is for those individuals who've got advanced degrees, they've got a PhD, or they have a special talent and they've passed out with these advanced degrees from US universities. The wait time is over 10 years. In fact, the last data that we have available for which year they are processing the EB2 category is December of 2012. So if your green card application had moved in December 2012, then in 2025 they would be processing that. That's a wait of 12 years. The EB3 category is for highly skilled professionals who are in the tech world, who are in AI, who are in computing, etc. The EB3 category, there, if you had moved your green card application in February of 2013, it would be currently processing. So that again is a wait time of just under 12 years. So what the gold card essentially does is it pushes back the wait time even further on the green card system. Now, there is a quota for the EB5s. Now, the EB5, there are about 10,000 visas that are issued to these high net worth individuals every single year across the world. Each country receives about 7% of this employment-based visa quota. 7% is what is allocated to each country in the EB5. So you have 10,000 visas annually which are issued to high net worth individuals from around the world, from Europe, from Russia, from China. In fact, China has the highest number, followed by Indians. So Indians are the second highest high net worth individuals under EB5. Like I said, there's a country cap of 7% for each country, including India. So which basically means approximately about 700 visas as per EB5 are allocated to each country, including Indians. So the primary investor who's investing that money gets the visa, as well as their family members, spouse plus children also get a visa under EB5. So around 700 EB5 visas are issued annually to Indians. They have availed that. Now the question is, are there 700 Indians, high net worth Indians, who are willing to pay and have the capacity to pay $5 million to get a pathway to American citizenship? All right, I want to go across to Mr. Naveen Chopra. He's chairman of Chopra TC Global. I've just explained to our viewers, what Trump has done, basically, scrapping the EB5 and going straight to what he calls the gold card, $5 million gold card pathway to citizenship in the US. What may be the impact of this? How may this dissuade high net worth Indians from going to the US or seeking a path to citizenship in the US? Or you think it will have no effect?
I personally don't think it's going to have any effect on the broader picture. In fact, it's opened up opportunities for, as you rightly said, for high net worth individuals, people who have access to that kind of money, and there's a substantial number of them. But you were talking about the the green card application and the wait lines for those green card applications. That obviously this is not going to impact on that. The fact of that the green card story is that while there is a wait time, people who have applied are still living, working, paying taxes in the United States and will continue to do so. At the beginning or end of the day, it's the dynamic, the socio-economic dynamic that always takes over. And there have been multiple cycles. I mean, similar schemes, for example, also exist. You mentioned Dubai, but they also exist for European countries. Greece has had a scheme that has also called the golden visa, family visa, which gives access to the EU. That's been very popular amongst Indian individuals. And, really speaking, Indians who take advantage of these schemes, they don't really leave India, with few exceptions. Most of them simply create other bases in other countries and end up, if they are business people, setting up or enhancing businesses in these countries, and indirectly or directly benefiting India at the same time.
But tell me, Mr. Chopra, because Mr. Trump has amped up this value from less than $1 million to 5 million, he's increased it by 5 times. What are the other countries that stand to benefit where Indians may want to seek to immigrate? For example, I know in the UAE, the golden visa is about $250,000 or so. So you're paying, 1/4 of, not even 1/4, less than $250,000 for a UAE visa. I don't know what the rates are in Greece or Spain or other countries that offer golden visa, but I assume it's substantially cheaper than 5 million. What are the other countries that you see some of these high net worth Indians emigrating to instead of the United States because of the cost factor?
You see, the individuals who are going to be heading to the United States are heading there for reasons that may not be fulfilled in a like-for-like manner by other countries in terms of opportunities, the ease of doing business, the ability to live despite the current social or political scenario, relatively free lives. Free of intervention, official intervention, and as it is, Trump is the disruptor, is disrupting a big government, reducing government, and all that sort of stuff. So the attraction points are a bit different. People who go to Dubai go there because of the distance. I mean, it's like flying locally. You can in 3 hours' time you're in Dubai, and you have a vibrant business environment. It's essentially, again, a place where a lot of companies or a lot of individuals would have set up their top boxes of their organizations, where they would hold their intellectual property and their agreements and stuff like that, and have operations in Dubai, which would give them tax benefits too. So multiplicity of factors. It's not really a single line story.
Okay, so that's an interesting caveat. It's not just about the cost factor. Anyway, they are high net worth individuals, so if they're willing to pay 8.5 crores, which was the initial price, the earlier price. Now, if they have the monies, they can pay 5 times more than that. But we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chopra, for joining us. We'll see how this new gold card that's been put out by the Trump administration, whether there are enough number of takers for it, particularly when it comes to high net worth Indians who emigrate and seek citizenship in other countries. The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas has entered a critical phase. Tensions are escalating following Israel's decision to halt the release of Palestinian prisoners. This move has significant implications for the ceasefire agreement. It also raises questions about the very future of this conflict. The ceasefire, which began in mid-January 2025, was brokered by 6 parties, including the United States, Egypt, and Qatar, to try and put an end to over 15 months of intense fighting in Gaza. The agreement involved the release of Israeli hostages who were held by Hamas in exchange for the release of Palestinian prisoners by Israel. The first phase of the ceasefire included the liberation of 25 living Israeli hostages and the bodies of 4 others, with Israel, on the other hand, agreeing to release more than 1,500 Palestinians who were in Israeli jails. By mid-February, 6 rounds of exchanges had occurred, freeing about 19 hostages. But the entire process has been disrupted with the last release of hostages.
Israel and America stand shoulder to shoulder in countering the threat of Iran.
Over the weekend, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israel would delay the release of over 600 Palestinian prisoners. He cited Hamas's humiliating ceremonies that were being done during the release of the Israeli hostages. It was basically a show of strength by Hamas. Netanyahu's point, his argument has been that these ceremonies, which included public displays and propaganda videos of Hamas, disrespected the hostages and were being used to further push Hamas propaganda. Now, the decision by Netanyahu to put a pause on the release of prisoners has been met with criticism from Hamas as well as other Arab countries who are viewing this as a breach of the ceasefire agreement. They're also calling this a bid to undermine the peace process. It also damages Netanyahu's own claim that Hamas's backbone has been broken with 15 months of intense military campaign. In fact, at every hostage for prisoner exchange, masked Hamas fighters have made a conspicuous presence every time there's been an exchange. The halt on prisoner releases has put the entire ceasefire agreement at risk. Hamas officials have said that negotiations with Israel are frozen until the release of all the remaining Palestinian prisoners. They emphasize that Israel's actions are a clear violation of the agreement that was arrived upon in conjunction with the United States, Egypt, and Qatar. The absence of an agreement for the next phase of the ceasefire, which is supposed to involve the release of all the remaining Israeli captives and a further permanent ceasefire, it complicates what is the precarious nature of the ongoing proceedings. The overall situation remains volatile. Over 46,000 Gazans have been killed and more than 1.9 million have been displaced, according to the Global Conflict Tracker. Netanyahu's statement that Israel is prepared to resume intense fighting at any moment suggests that the current stalemate could be used as a pretext to start hostilities again. This stand aligns with Israel's broader objectives in the conflict, one of which was to eliminate Hamas's military capabilities, and the other was to secure the release of all the hostages. Neither of these two objectives have been fully met, and it is apparent with each passing day that Hamas is very much in both military as well as political control of the Gaza Strip. Also, Netanyahu's own popularity ratings have been flagging. A latest New Arab survey shows that only 15% of Israelis want Netanyahu to continue as prime minister once the war is over. And Netanyahu realizes this. So, political opponents in Israel are saying Mr. Netanyahu is using this as a ruse to restart the war once again. The recent meeting between Benjamin Netanyahu and US President Donald Trump at the White House has been interpreted as a sign of support for Netanyahu to restart the war. In fact, Mr. Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, is working to extend the first phase of the ceasefire and initiate the second phase, which would involve the release of more hostages and a more permanent ceasefire. But Trump's backing of Netanyahu could embolden Israel to take a much harder stand in the negotiations, and that could potentially undermine the efforts to maintain the ceasefire. Trump has told Israel in the presence of Netanyahu at the White House that he can do whatever the hell he wants to take the hostilities forward in Gaza. The current impasse raises concerns about the very future of Gaza. The humanitarian situation remains dire. Significant portions of the agreed upon aid have been blocked from entering Gaza. The delay in the prisoner release and the potential collapse of the ceasefire could lead to renewed violence, and that would only further exacerbate the humanitarian crisis. According to the Times of Israel, a leading newspaper in Jerusalem, the next expected release involves the remains of 4 hostages who are dead. That's been scheduled for later this week, but this temporary delay has brought serious doubts whether the February 27th scheduled exchange of hostage bodies for prisoners will actually go ahead or not. The first phase of this ceasefire was set to conclude by the early part of March. It includes further hostage releases and prisoner exchanges. 14 more hostages are still slated for release. Hamas, though, has claimed out of this 14, 6 are dead. The current state of the Israel-Hamas conflict is precarious. Israel's halt on the prisoner release is threatening to derail the ceasefire. Netanyahu's justification for this decision is centered on the manner of the release of hostages. That's been criticized by Hamas as a pretext to undermine the peace process. If negotiations fail, Israel might resume military operations, potentially once again targeting Hamas leadership and targeting Hamas's terror infrastructure. Hamas, on the other hand, could retaliate with rocket attacks. So basically, it would be back to square one. It would be similar to the pre-October 7, 2023 situation, which renders the very purpose of this military operation meaningless. There's also the added humanitarian crisis, with 90% of Gazans facing food insecurity and no functioning hospitals as per the Global Conflict Tracker. this could worsen and lead to further casualties. As tensions escalate, the risk of renewed conflict is growing, potentially leading to further bloodshed and destabilization in the Gaza Strip. The international community, including the United States, faces a challenge in mediating a resolution that satisfies both parties and prevents the collapse of the ceasefire. The situation in Gaza remains volatile. The future of the very ceasefire is hanging in the balance. The next steps taken by both Israel and Hamas will be crucial in determining whether the conflict escalates or whether a path towards peace can be secured.
सस्ते वाले
Viewers, 1 in 2 Hindus in India, a total of 65 crore people, elaborate processions of monks and 3 Amrit Snans. This year's Mahakumbh, with a rare celestial alignment that occurs every 144 years, was like no other in the history of Bharat's civilization. For 45 days, the Mahakumbh was the Sangam of Sanatan pride, no less, viewers.